So this is an update on StarLink installation 2 days after it's been installed. First thing to note is that from the time FedEx delivered the package, we were connected and had the internet running in as little as 15 minutes. Initially, I set the dish up outside in the yard on the ground just to do some initial testing and make sure everything was going to work before we did officially mount it to the house. Testing on the ground turned out great. We let it run overnight. We had very little interference, and I didn't worry too much about positioning. I just wanted to get a signal and let the dish get a sense of where it is and what satellites it was going to have available to it. So I did do the roof mount. I got the volcano roof mount and put that up there a few days ahead of time so it was ready to go. That involves finding one of the rafters to put two of the lugs through, and you'll find various videos on the YouTube that will show the exact installation. But that can be kind of difficult. The directions for the volcano mount advise using a stud finder, and I didn't find the stud finder, electronic stud finder, very helpful. And I don't think I really found the rafter on this one, so I'm going to have to do a reinstall on that. One thing to keep in mind is the sealant that's used for the roof mount is really, really sticky. You basically get one shot at it, and you better get it right the first time, because I'm not sure that thing is going to come off very readily. One of the things that comes with the roof mount is a carrying bag, and you can put Dishy into the bag, sling it over your shoulder, and then now you've got two hands free to get up to the ladder and do the roof mount. And by the way, I purposefully put the roof mount close to the edge so that I wouldn't have to crawl up on the roof a second time to install the antenna. I was able to just get to the top of the ladder and reach over the top of the ladder and put the dish right into the mount. And then you remove the carrying bag and you're done. That was maybe a 3-minute operation altogether. The finding a location for the roof mount starts off by using the phone app, the StarLink phone app. And I scanned various locations around the property and finally realized up here by the garage would be a pretty good place. I put a ladder up and took the phone app with me, scanned the sky, and it said I would have an outage. It estimated the outage would be once every 24 minutes. Well, that's fine for things like streaming. It's probably not going to interrupt a Zoom call very much. So that seemed like an okay location. And I was going to just go ahead and go with that, because that's about as good as I can get. As you can might see in the view up to the right, there are a couple tall trees that the phone app identified as being an obstruction at some point during satellite passage. Once the dish has been installed, the dish itself will collect information on obstructions and outages and give you a report. The dish takes about 12 hours to analyze the sky, look at satellite passage and the different angles it has to go through and the obstructions that it encounters, and it will give you a report after 12 hours and give you a map. The great news is once the 12-hour period is done, the dish said we have no obstructions. There were no outages in this 12-hour period. So what I found was the phone app was a little pessimistic compared to the actual data, and that's fine. I'd rather for the phone app to be pessimistic than it to be optimistic and find that I have more troubles than I needed. One of the concerns I had was, what about heavy winds? And I see now that with the dish tilted towards the satellite, it presents a fairly low profile to the wind. It's not like the dish is straight up and down and presenting a huge circular disc to the wind and for the wind to have a huge surface area to work on. It's the way this is tilted, it gives a fairly low profile. I'm not nearly concerned about heavy winds as I was before installation. In terms of Wi-Fi coverage, I'm standing 90 feet outside the house from the modem location, and I have plenty of signal to stand out here in the yard. And we don't have any cell service out here, so we use voice over IP for phone communication. And this means that I can be working in the yard and get phone calls, and the coverage is fine. We can also, if you, for instance, wanted to use internet out in the yard, that's a possibility as well. In terms of speed, our current internet service was a good old DSL. The StarLink signal or speed is 200 times faster than DSL, and the latency is half. So we have plenty of speed, no interruptions, and no data caps. All things that we were looking for. The bottom line of this, the full kit was $500. To get fiber trenched into our location would have cost us $15,000. So we've saved $14,500 by going with the dish. The cost for the old DSL service is the same as the cost for the internet charge with StarLink. So once we cut off the DSL service, it's a wash in terms of that cost. And to finish this project up, I have an electrician coming in a couple of weeks, and he's going to run the cable through the attic and then through the wall into the office where the modem is located, and that'll tidy things up and we'll be done. The one other thing I've got to be thinking about is at some point we're going to have to get the roof replaced, and how do I manage the dish during roof replacement? And I've got some ideas on that, but that's the last, I think, little question I have in mind. And other than that, everything is fine and we are good to go.